Welcome to the April 12th meeting of the Mayor and Council of Princeton. And first thing will be the statement, the notice of the meeting notice statement.
Mayor Frida, we have to take roll call first.
Before we do the statement?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. My bad.
That's okay.
Notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act and state regulations governing remote public meetings, including the time, date, and location of the meeting, and clear and concise instructions to the public first accessing the meeting and making comments. In addition, the agenda and all related materials were posted electronically and made available to the public on Princeton's meeting portal in advance of the meeting.
Thank you. And now we can do roll call.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Ms. Perron-Lambros?
Here.
Ms. Niedergang?
Here.
Mr. Cohen?
Here.
Ms. Fraga?
Here.
Mr. Williamson?
Here.
Ms. Sachs?
Here.
Mayor Frida?
Here. Okay. We're all here. First item on the agenda would be announcements and reports. Do you have any council members that have? Leticia is first and then Eve.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this coming Saturday, starting at 9 a.m., the Permit Parking Task Force is going to be hosting a community meeting to review options for a planned pilot program to address parking needs of residents, employees of local businesses, and visitors. This meeting will be focused in the neighborhood for the high school, the Hamilton-Wiggins corridor, and also some of the side streets that may be considered for permit parking. The meeting will be reviewing the permits, what we'll be considering, and we'll also be reviewing the parking enforcement technology. So the link to access the meeting is on the municipal calendar, and anybody.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we have everyone back. We're going to continue the meeting. The Council President Fraga was in the middle of her announcement/report. So please continue.
I hope, I don't know what you heard last. I was announcing a permit parking task force community meeting that will be.
We're good.
So the permit parking task force meeting this Saturday, 9 a.m. focus on the high school neighborhood, also the Hamilton Wiggins corridor, and some of the side streets that are being considered for permit parking. This is to address the needs of residents, employees of local businesses, and also visitors. And for more information, the Zoom link and more information can be found on the municipal calendar's website. And I'll also, while I'm here, I just want to mention again that the Human Services Summer Youth Employment Program the application is open and will be up until the deadline, which is at the end of this month. More information can be found on the Human Services webpage. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Eve, you were next.
Thank you. I have a few announcements. So the Cannabis Task Force had its first meeting last week. And we'll be meeting again at the end of this month, hopefully, to get a legal and business update. The Cannabis Regulatory Commission had its first meeting today. So the regulations that will affect how cannabis licenses are enacted in the state of New Jersey is still very much in flux. If you're interested, as Leticia said, the details will be on the municipal website, and please feel free to join us. This coming Saturday, the Environmental Commission, along with the Watershed Institute, is hosting our annual stream cleanups. And this year it will be in Grover Park. Because of COVID, you have to register first, so you can do that through the watershed website. And you can come at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. There's a 50-person limit at each time. But last I checked, we had plenty of room. So we'd love to have you. If you come in person, you get a nifty t-shirt. If you prefer not to be with other people, you can also sign up to do a virtual cleanup and report that on the watershed website. It's a fun event doing a really much needed service for the community. So hope you'll be able to join us. The Library Board of Trustees, the Friends of the Library is hosting its annual Book Lovers Lunch on Thursday, April 29th at 11 a.m. The book is Finding Freedom by noted restaurateur Erin French, and you can get tickets for that on the library website. The Sustainable Landscaping Project, which has a new name, Changing the Landscape, Healthy Yards, Healthy People, will be having its second webinar co-hosted with the library on next Wednesday, 4/21 at 7:30. And that will be an opportunity for people to hear from landscapers and other people involved in trying to move us to a healthier way for both people and the environment of taking care of our lawns. And finally, a sewer manager has been hired to maintain our sewer system, which has been unfortunately in a state of some disrepair and neglect. And met him for the first time this past week, and he seems like he's going to be a really great addition, and we'll be able to start making additional hires and move forward on hopefully some improvements in that system. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eve. Other council members have announcements or reports? David?
Yeah, wanted to just give a quick report. The Vision Zero Task Force had a good kickoff meeting about a week and a half ago. We've established 5 working subcommittees, which will be focused on different aspects, researching and trying to formulate an approach on different aspects of Vision Zero for the town. If there are members of the public who would like to be involved, we are welcoming participation on the subcommittees for pretty much anybody who would like to participate. So please reach out to me. The Stormwater and Flood Committee is working hard on 2 fronts right now. One is we've finalized the language for proposed redevelopment stormwater ordinance, which essentially would require stormwater management for existing properties that are already developed but don't have stormwater management methods in place if they redevelop. So it doesn't go into effect unless there's redevelopment happening, but it catches properties that previously would not have been regulated. And the other front is we're working on doing research regarding the possibility of establishing a stormwater utility for the town. And we've been drafting an RFP to get a consultant to help with that because it's a very large undertaking. And then lastly, just want to mention with the planning board, there was a meeting of the master plan subcommittee last week. For those who aren't aware, the planning department is kicking off an effort to do a major reinvention, rewriting of the entire master plan for the community. And so that master plans committee meeting was kicking off and getting that process started.
Thank you, David.
Sure.
Mia?
Well, I was also going to talk about the master plan subcommittee, but I guess I won't. So I will mention that some of you may remember that not long ago there was quite a brouhaha over our affordable housing settlement and whether we did or did not have a 20% set aside. And if we in fact did, whether there were some loopholes. David and Michelle and I have had numerous meetings with the Fair Share Housing Center, with our planners and our planning department, and various attorneys, and we now have the draft of what we hope will not only close whatever loopholes were not covered, but it is going to be even stronger than the ordinance that existed previously that people were concerned about. So it's now being reviewed by our Affordable Housing Board, and they have some questions, but we do hope to be introducing it within the month. So,
Thank you. Any other council announcements or reports? Bob, anything? from you?
Actually, Mayor,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Michelle, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about the community center, our meeting about the petition that was circulated by a group of citizens, or I could talk about it.
Sure,
Yep.
sure,
Well-
Dwayne. Yeah, we had a preliminary meeting, but go ahead.
Sure, yeah. As all of us know, a few weeks back, we had a petition that was circulated by a group of citizens asking that the town transform the former PFARS site into a community center, which will be a central location for dealing with a lot of the social services issues in town. So a couple of my council colleagues and I, Michelle and Leticia, we had a meeting to, I guess we can call it a working committee meeting to examine that possibility. And what we realized is, among some other things, is that, let me start by saying, a community center being created as part of the town's master plan. So that is something that we do want to do eventually. But let me add that the former PFARS site may not necessarily be the best place to house that. We don't want to marry the fact that we haven't an empty, we have some empty structures, and we have a need in town, and just presume that because of these two existing things that means we should necessarily place it there. Number one, many of the services that are being requested are already being supplied by other, or I should say, already being addressed by other departments in town, such as Corner House, Human Services, or more issues that we address at the county level. The second thing is that what's going to happen with that particular site is part of the broader conversation about what we're doing about facilities in town going into the future, including one monument. So it's part of that broader discussion. But the bottom line is this right here. I'm not authorized necessarily to talk for mayor and council, but I'm sure we're all on the same page that there are some human services issues that we think we could do a better job addressing, and we're certainly going to address those. And we do plan. We want to figure out what to eventually do with the former PFARS site and the two houses that's next to that site. So we're listening to the community, but as it stands right now, it appears that the former PFAR site will not be the best place to consolidate all these services, and the conversation is going to continue, and the analysis of how to best meet these town demands are continuing.
Thanks,
Mark,
Dwayne.
can I say something?
Sure, Mia.
So I wasn't aware that a decision had been made about the PFAR site one way or another. But since Dwayne brought it up, I did want to take this opportunity to correct some misperceptions that I think some people in the neighborhood had, because the PFAR site is included in the site that the town has designated, that the planning board has designated for the redevelopment investigation. There were a number of there were some people who got in touch with us and said that it was their recollection that the town accepted the PFAR site with the understanding that it would be sold. And so we reached out to former officials who there seemed to be a discrepancy of how people remember that. But suffice to say that it seems that there were some council members who were in favor of selling it, other council members who were not in favor of selling it. I do feel comfortable in speaking for the current council that we have not discussed whether it should or shouldn't be sold. There was a task force that was looking into options for the site, which got waylaid by COVID, and we haven't had a chance to resume that discussion. So for anybody who was reading into the PFAR site being included in the redevelopment investigation, should not assume that that is weighing us, making a decision about the sale or not the sale. The reason why the PFAR site is included in the redevelopment site is because we are trying to plan for the entire area as a whole, and to have make sure that there are a bunch of different housing sites going in, and there are changes happening at the shopping center. The Walgreens is moving, has had an agreement for several years with the shopping center that they will be moving to Harrison Street. And we want to make sure that the circulation patterns throughout the shopping center are the best that they possibly could be, and that we have maximum flexibility for whatever design happens on the shopping center site. So the PFAR site was included simply to allow for that design flexibility. It doesn't in any way influence whether the town decides to sell the properties or not. And in terms of there was a community petition of residents who were interested in using one or more of those properties for the community center. And as Dwayne mentioned, Councilwoman Fraga and Councilwoman Lambros have initiated a process of creating a task force, and they have had a discussion apparently amongst themselves, but that has not been communicated until tonight, until the rest of council. So it's and I think we haven't made a decision as a whole. I just wanted to mention one other thing about redevelopment in general, that it seems that there are a lot of misunderstandings and in the community about what redevelopment is. So we are going to be working to set up a joint meeting of council and the planning board to have experts from around the state to educate all of us and the community about what redevelopment is and the benefits that it brings to towns. I know there were some people who have a sort of outdated notion of redevelopment and thinking that it has to do with blighted areas. And it's interesting that when Heinz Plaza was created as a redevelopment area, that actually was litigated, and the court made clear that redevelopment is not just for blighted areas. And just to one other thing related to the redevelopment of the shopping center, and we will be discussing that more, but there have also been a number of community questions about why Grover Park is included in the shopping center redevelopment. And there were concerns that maybe there were plans to build on Grover Park. And so we just want to reassure everybody that Grover Park was part of the initial parcel. And so in the interest of planning for the entire area, we wanted to keep think of the parcel as it was, and also there's quite a bit of stormwater mitigation work that needs done both within the shopping center and in Grover Park, and some upgrades to Grover Park. And one of the community benefits that accrues to a municipality through the redevelopment process is the ability to work with development partners to have those upgrades and work done, such as stormwater mitigation. And so that was the reason for including Grover Park. But it's the, of course, the intent, I'm not sure if it's deed restricted for recreational area. And my assumption is that it is. Yes, it is. So, to the extent that anything would be the done in Grovert Park, it would be to enhance the recreational experience. And I know the rec board has had a whole list of things that they wanted done in Grovert Park for a while. So stay tuned, more to come and all of that. But we have gotten a number of questions about those specific areas, and particularly the neighbors who live on Clearview near to the PFAR site.
Thanks, Mia.
Sure.
Michelle?
All right, and thank you, Dwayne, for bringing that up. We have had a very preliminary discussion about setting up a task force to look at the needs and do a needs assessment to create a community center. So where it would be located is one factor, but the main factor we first have to determine is what needs to be done. We don't want redundancies of what the community already offers in other areas, like the Y, Paul Robeson Center, and other, the library, the other, community services that are there, human resource, human services and so on. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We have a desire to move forward with that. And, we, more like stay tuned. And like Mia said, it happens that there's a property in the redevelopment, or 3 properties adjacent to the redevelopment or part of the redevelopment zone that we're looking at. But the 2 issues are really separate issues in terms of where this would be located. And first we need to look at the needs. And I don't know, it's become a little bit more of more than a report, but I don't know if other council members other than Councilman Williamson or Councilwoman Fraga, who were in those conversations, if anyone has any questions for us or comments or input on that you'd like to bring up now, since we have had a preliminary discussion.
We should, I would just caution, if I could just caution us, this is not an item on the agenda.
I know.
The council should be careful as to how far we get into any discussion on this. I think we've made people aware, and if we're going to have more detailed discussion, it should be an agenda item on a future meeting, because it's not fair to people that would want to, from the public, that want to be part of the discussion.
Thank you.
Right. I think we were considering more of a report, and something that I wanted to add to what our initial conversation that we had with Councilman Williamson and Perron Lambros, that it just so happens that Human Services Commission is in the process of putting together a needs assessment survey. And so I feel that it's very timely that this would be perhaps a good time to piggyback on that, to actually determine what the needs are, not just us assuming what would be good to have in our community, but to actually survey our residents and identify what is lacking, that is not already being provided by our Human Services Department or other departments, and also our community partners.
And if I may just add one last thing too, apparently there are some rumors circulating. I just want to dispel those. That when Council President Fraga was reading the petition, some of the folks who were tuning in for some reason or another thought that was an announcement of council, and not realizing Councilwoman Fraga was only reading the petition that was submitted by the public, and that council was asked to have that petition read as part of the statements for items not on the agenda. So part of my reasoning in bringing this up is to sort of dispel those rumors. And Councilwoman Sachs also mentioned how folks in the neighborhood were reading a lot into certain things. So I just wanted to kind of get it out there so we can clear up some of these items.
Thank you, Dwayne. Any other last shot? I hope council announcements or reports. All right, going to our administrator, Mr. Brushai, anything?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just a couple quick things. One is that we've begun some discussions at the staff level as to what it's going to take to begin to reopen the municipal building for the public to come in, taking it a step further than by appointment only. Hopefully by our next meeting, we'll have a definitive plan, and we'll be well towards being able to do that. As part of that, we've also had some initial discussions, with regards to what it's going to take for us to be able to begin council meetings where we can be together again as a group even though we may not bring in the public into that, we have to try to figure out how we include public in it if we're meeting in our in the council chambers. So we're beginning to look at that from a technology standpoint. Tonight kind of underlined maybe some additional things we need to look at with that, but we'll continue working on it. Again, hopefully have a report to you on that one fairly shortly. Last item is at our initial staff meeting under my brief regime here, we just started to discuss the goals and the priorities of the staff. I'm going to be sending something out to council to get a better handle on a couple of your major priorities. I think I have a pretty good handle on them, but I want to give everybody a good shot at letting me know so we can begin to really focus staff on not only the day-to-day operations that they're concerned with, but also trying to move forward on so many of the goals that we have illustrated, or that they illustrated in the program that you guys did back in January. So we're moving forward on a lot of those items, as well as trying to just keep the ship floating in the right direction. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor, for tonight.
Thank you, Bob.
Mayor,
Dwayne?
I actually have a question for Bob. I guess in this analysis, I'm wondering if there are any things that you may uncover, and this is sort of like one of my hybrid questions / comments. I wonder if there's anything you may uncover where, because of COVID and we're doing everything on Zoom, if there are certain things that are probably just more efficient this way, that we may not want to go back to how things were before. So I know in like, for example, in the court systems, where I work, I mean, there are things that are popping up where it's like, oh, this is a good idea to keep certain things going that way. I don't know, not that you have to answer what any of these things may be today, but I'm just wondering if anything's out there that staff may have come up with that say, hey, maybe this is just a more efficient way to do things. You know, one thing or another, whatever that may be.
We've looked at some different technologies, some of which we don't have. I'm not well enough versed in them to give you a real good answer on it, but there are some things that we might be able to do. I agree to some extent this works really well, but in other times it might be better to be able to get the group more in the same room for the actual interaction that you might be able to have. But
I'm not saying for council meetings, I'm just saying in general, by the way.
No, in general, no,
Yeah,
I understand where you're going. Because that's with other groups too. It's, planning board, all of our boards and committees, at some point, we'd like to be able to allow them to interact a little bit more than you can maybe in a Zoom meeting, but there's certainly some benefits to it. We'll try to weigh all of that as we're giving you some options.
Bob, are there any other staff that need to make an announcement or report at this time?
I haven't gotten anything from anyone, and we don't have many staff here tonight. I've gone over the agenda with most of them. So I think we don't really have anything else, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's go to the proclamation for Judge Greenberg that's next on the agenda. And then I think I'm going to read about half of it, and Mia had volunteered to read what I don't read. So I'll start it and then hand it off. So this is sorry, got to get the right place. Proclamation of appreciation. Whereas in 1971, Morton Ira Greenberg moved to Princeton to take a position appointed by the Attorney General of New Jersey as Assistant Attorney General in charge of litigation for the state of New Jersey. And whereas Morton Ira Greenberg was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on March 20th, 1933, to the late Pauline and Harry Greenberg. In addition to his parents, he was predeceased by his brother, the late Judge Manuel H. Greenberg. He grew up in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1954 with a major in history and attended law school at Yale University, class of 1957, where he was a member of the board of editors of the Yale Law Journal. And whereas Judge Greenberg's distinguished law career began with his appointment of the office of the Attorney General in Trenton, New Jersey. In 1960, he moved to Wildwood Crest and practiced law as a community lawyer in a small firm in Cape May, New Jersey for the next 11 years. And whereas in 1973, Governor Cahill appointed Judge Greenberg to the Superior Court of New Jersey. While on this court, Judge Greenberg served on all divisions of that court and ended his service there I can't even talk here, sorry. in the Appellate Division of the Superior Court of New Jersey. And Mia.
Whereas President Ronald Reagan nominated him to be a judge on the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit in 1987, and he remained in that position until his death on January 28, 2021, at the Medical Center of Princeton, New Jersey. In 2000, Judge Greenberg took senior status, reducing his caseload and opening the court to a new appointment by then President Clinton. Judge Greenberg has written thousands of opinions, many of which have been published and have presidential, as in setting a precedent, authority. Given his state and federal service combined, Judge Greenberg was the longest serving judge in New Jersey, serving the judiciary for 47 years. He loved every aspect of being a judge. And whereas Judge Greenberg was married to Dr. Barbara Ann K. Greenberg for 33 years, they loved living in Princeton and often dined in our town's restaurants and enjoyed the rich culture and history of Princeton. They were devoted to each other. He would continue to call Princeton home for the rest of his life. Therefore, be it resolved that the municipality of Princeton, New Jersey, on behalf of the residents of Princeton, extends appreciation posthumously to the Honorable Morton Ira Greenberg for his dedicated years of public service and the many contributions he made to the town of Princeton and to its residents. And further, be it resolved that the municipality of Princeton extends its sympathy to Judge Greenberg's family and decrees that they be furnished a copy of this proclamation, which is spread upon the minutes of this evening, April 12th, 2021, council meeting. And it's signed by Mayor Frida. And we have Judge Greenberg's son, Lawrence Greenberg, tonight, who we were hoping could say a few words about his dad.
Eve, that watershed cleanup sounds really cool. Thanks for that. Dwayne, always good to see you. Mayor Frida, I'm thankful that you had us here. And Mia, I'm especially thankful of you for thinking of this, for putting this together, for helping us write this. And it's just my sisters are here at the meeting with me. My sister Elizabeth from Chevy Chase and my sister Suzanne from Long Beach, California. I just want to point out that when my dad was appointed to that task in the Attorney General's office, the job was in New Brunswick. So he chose Princeton. He chose Princeton because he wanted to raise a family there and live there. And the town is incredibly dear to me in my heart. It's who I am. Kind of one of the ingredients in growing up was being in Princeton. So it means so much to the town. Just has given us so much, and to hear this proclamation. And Dad's buried in Princeton Cemetery. We would eat at the Tiger's Tail and the other places in Princeton all the time. It just means a great deal. So I'm thankful and grateful to you all.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move on now. Next item on the agenda is public comments for items not on the agenda. I know we do have one comment emailed in, which we'll read momentarily. I just wanted to see if there was any attendees that needed to raise a hand to comment on anything not on the agenda. Okay, I don't believe any of the attendees have a comment. So let me read the email comment that came in. My name is Joel Hemsfeld, and I live at 75 Mount Lucas Road. I have been a resident of Princeton since 1984. My late wife, Susan, and I raised our daughter here, and now I have the pleasure of watching my granddaughter grow up here. I am opposed to the proposed project to install artificial turf anywhere in Princeton. I appreciate the efforts of the Recreation Department to assess and balance the competing needs of our open space and provide opportunities for our young residents to spend time outdoors. However, I am frustrated that time and again the topic of the use of artificial turf is surfaced and lots of public effort must be spent to reiterate why it is not the right fit for Princeton. We surely do not have sufficient data on the long-term health impacts of turf at Hilltop. It is clear from the public discourse in the papers and recent public meetings that the public does not want this turf and that there are alternates better aligned with Princeton's sustainability goals. Please consider working with Mercer County officials to remove the restriction of using the grant money specifically for artificial turf. Invest instead in upgrading the natural field at Hilltop. Invest in efficient lighting at Hilltop to extend the hours of use while eliminating the need for the diesel lights, and at the same time respecting the surrounding environment. Preserve this space for the use of densely packed residents of this area of town. It is not going to be cheaper and better all around long-term to keep Hilltop as, it's going to be cheaper and better all around long-term to keep Hilltop as a natural space. I am registering my opposition to artificial turf at Hilltop Park, but I support the Recreation Commission's efforts to take advantage of the county's grant and seek alternate ways to procure and utilize these funds. Thank you. Explanation mark. Okay, just checking. No one else to make comments for anything not on the agenda? All right, seeing none. Next item on the agenda is the 2021 municipal budget, ordinance 2021-07, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. And this is the public hearing for that. The cap bank, by state statute, you can increase the budget by 1% per year. If you want to go over the 1%, you actually have to pass an ordinance to allow you to exceed the 1% cap. And the ordinance, in the detail of the ordinance, it mentions that it would be a 3.5% increase that we would allow in our budget. Bob, do you want to?
If I could just embellish upon that, Mr. Mayor, this does not impact our budget. What this does is allows the council flexibility next year in case there's some major budget issue that we need to deal with so that we can apply the balance of our cap towards next year's budget. So that's all it does. It allows you decision-making in the future. It does not impact at all this year's appropriations or taxes or any portion of the budget.
Okay. Any comments or questions before we take a roll call vote on that? Eve, yes.
I was just going to move the
Thank you.
ordinance.
Okay, moved by Eve. Is there a second? Michelle seconds the motion. Okay, it's a roll call vote.
Mark, do we need to open it to public hearing?
No, we should. It is a public hearing. Thank you.
Yes.
Any members of the public wishing to comment? Yeah, no hands are up so far. Thanks, Adam. Any? Okay, no hands are up, so we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing and go to the roll call vote.
Ms. Pearl-Lambros,
Yes.
Ms. Niedergang,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Fraga,
Yes.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Ms. Sachs.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have an ordinance, a public hearing on ordinance 2021-05, an ordinance by the municipality of Princeton regarding banked parking and amending chapter 10B land use of the code of the township of Princeton, New Jersey, 1968. And for those of you that have the agenda up on your computer screens, this item is on page 12. Are there any council questions or comments? Okay, let's open the public participation comment section for the ordinance hearing. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to make a comment or ask a question on this? Okay, no hands are up. We'll close the public comment section of the hearing. And David?
Mayor, I'd like to move adoption of the ordinance.
Thank you, David. Is there a second? Mia seconds. Okay, if we could have the roll call vote, please.
Ms. Peron Lambros,
Yes.
Ms. Niedergang,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Fraga,
Yes.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Ms. Sacks.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. Ordinance 2021-09, public hearing for that is next. An ordinance by the municipality of Princeton regarding off-street parking requirements for changes in use and amending Chapter 10B land use of the Code of the Township of Princeton, New Jersey, 1968, and Chapter 17A land use of the Code of the Borough of Princeton, New Jersey, 1974. Any council questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we'll open the public part of the hearing. Anyone from the public with a question or comment on this ordinance? All right, seeing no hands up, we'll close the public portion. And Michelle, are you making a motion?
Making a motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a second on the motion? Thank you, Mia. I was getting worried there for a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
Ms. Peron Lambros,
Yes.
Ms. Niedergang,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Fraga,
Yes.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Ms. Sacks.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next, we have two ordinance introductions. The difference between an ordinance introduction and an ordinance public hearing is the introduction is basically, here's the ordinance. There could be a brief explanation, but we really don't get into discussing the pros and cons of it. That's held for the public hearing. So the first ordinance introduction is ordinance 2021-10, ordinance authorizing the execution of a revised financial agreement with Princeton Thanet Road Urban Renewal LLC under the long-term tax exemption law. Public hearing would be April 26th, 2021. Are there, David?
I'm just moving to introduce.
Okay. Is there a second? Thank you. Leticia had her hand up just a little bit quicker than Michelle did. Sorry. Any questions or comments before we do a roll call vote on this? All right. Seeing none. Dawn, could you do the vote, the roll call, I mean?
Ms. Peron Lambros,
Yes.
Ms. Niedergang,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Fraga,
Yes.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Ms. Sacks.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. The next introduction is ordinance 2021-11, an ordinance by the municipality of Princeton concerning miscellaneous offenses and amending chapters 22 and 34 of the Code of the Borough of Princeton, New Jersey, 1974, and chapter 13 of the Code of the Township of New Jersey, 1968. The public hearing will be April 26, 2021. Is there a motion on this? Leticia, thank you. Dwayne, you were just after her, so we'll give you the second if that's okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments by anyone on council? All right, seeing none. Dawn, could we do the roll call on this, please?
Ms. Peron Lambros,
Yes.
Ms. Niedergang,
Sorry. Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Fraga,
Yes.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Ms. Sacks.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to resolutions in the agenda. And just again, if you're actually trying to keep up with us on the written agenda package, it's the resolutions start on page 97. And Eve, I believe you were going to handle the first two.
Yes. Sorry, let me get there.
Can I just mention there's a question in the chat from,
Yeah, I'm gonna address that.
okay,
Yeah, I responded and
Oh,
I
sorry.
will address that. I'm sorry, I'm just going through my agenda here. Oh, no.
It's page 97.
Yeah, no. Okay, I got it. My computer really slows down when you get to those drawings of the drug-free school zones. It's like goes into super slow mode. So resolution, this is resolution 21-127, resolution authorizing the appointment of Bernard Hosdovic Jr. as Princeton Municipal Administrator. And in answer to the question from the audience, that additional information was inadvertently left off. And Bob, we had discussed that earlier in the day. What was our solution to that? To just make it available if people, you're muted still. Still muted.
There we go. Anyone that wants a copy, certainly we can get that to them, and I apologize for not having it in the agenda. That just was an oversight by my behalf. I mean, I sent copies out to the council, so any part of it that you want to read into the record, we certainly can.
I have not seen that yet. It may be in my email, but I didn't see it. I don't think that's necessary, but as Bob said, Crystal or anyone else, if you want that information, please email Bob and he can send it out to you. So sorry about that. I noticed that late this afternoon. Anyway, just want to say in terms of introducing that, you know, we're excited to have the new administrator start in May. And I'd love to make the motion to introduce this.
Okay, Leticia, would you like to second that?
Sure.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Eve, you have the next one also.
I'm taking the next one too. This is resolution 21-128. Resolution amending resolution 21-96 concerning the employment of Robert Brushai as interim administrator.
Okay, Eve, do you want to make that a motion or?
I would love to introduce that one as well.
Okay, is there a
I'll second.
second? Okay, Mia, thank you very much. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I just want to add that we're really appreciative that to have Bob during this period. It has helped tremendously in the transition. We're very fortunate to have someone who could just step in who has experience. So thanks, Bob.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Mia, for saying that. Bob knows I echo that. I tell him thank you every day. Next item, 21-129, resolution approving the First Amendment to agreement by and between the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, New Jersey Local 1530, and the Municipality of Princeton for the period January 1, 2020 to December 31, 2023. That's on page 101 of the agenda package. Any questions by anyone on this item? Okay, is there a motion? Dwayne, Leticia, okay with the second? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. 21-130, resolution authorizing a supplemental professional services agreement in the amount of $34,630.93 for additional services related to the Witherspoon Street Improvement Project, the section of Witherspoon, Nassau Street to Green Street. Does someone, David?
I'll move to introduce.
Okay, thank you. Eve, is that a second? Eve seconds. Questions, comments on the resolution? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 That's everyone, thank you. 21-131, resolution authorizing a professional services agreement in the not to exceed amount of $39,500 with Princeton Hydro for Phase 1 Stormwater Management Facilities Design and Environmental Permitting Services for the Mount Lucas Road Improvement Project. Eve.
I want to introduce, but I also have a question, but I'll wait for someone to second.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, David seconds. Eve made the motion. Thank you.
I have two questions, and Deanna isn't here, but Bob, maybe you can help me. So in the engineer's note about this project at the end, there seemed to be some urgency to this because I think the Mount Lucas Road Improvement Project is grant funded, and it can't be moved forward as much as our engineer would like until we've passed our budget. So my question, and Bob might be the best one to answer this, is assuming we're on target with our budget introduction on the 26th in 2 weeks, and we're able to get it passed 2 weeks later, will that meet the schedule, the need to make sure that we don't miss out on this grant? And if the budget does get postponed, do we have a little wiggle room?
Okay, well, first of all, the budget is probably going to be postponed 2 weeks, but that should not impact this project. We just need to keep our professionals going. As Deanna had mentioned, this is a supplement to the original amount that the council previously approved. So we do want to keep it going. We don't want to hold them up because they will indeed then hold us up. But we're confident we'll meet the deadlines.
So the budget is not going to be introduced on the 26th?
It's likely, we've already introduced the budget. Our
Oh, it's not
operating
gonna
budget will be adopted. We're working on finalizing some of the capital issues that may play a role in this budget, depending on on what the final estimates come in at. But we probably will not adopt that evening, as we had mentioned, for the operating budget. That's probably going to be 2 weeks later because we will do amendments that evening. So.
Okay, got it.
David.
And I just wanted to clarify, Eve, that my understanding from reading the engineer's memo is that she was urging the introduction of the capital budget as an urgent thing. It doesn't really relate to the operating budget. It's a separate item.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. And is that unscheduled to meet the demands of this grant?
Yeah, we're meeting tomorrow to finalize what we're going to be presenting as far as the capital budget. They are tied together because we have to adopt the operating budget because that's where our down payment money comes for the capital budget. So in a sequence, operating first, then capital.
Okay, excellent. And then David, maybe you can answer this second question. So in the Princeton Hydro proposal, task 2 states, this will be an opportunity for Princeton Hydro to discuss the green infrastructure options as well as to receive input from attendees. But then task 3 states, the testing regimen used to develop cost estimates for this proposal assume that porous pavement will be the only green infrastructure, BMP, which is best management practice, applied at the site. So that I found that very confusing. Are we only doing the porous pavement? Are we doing the porous pavement plus? And maybe you don't know, and I have to wait for Deanna to answer this. It seemed contradictory to me.
Yeah, so all I can say, and Deanna can probably give you more information, but there's a general exemption in the state regulations for what they call linear development. It essentially applies to roadways, that there is not space in the right of way to create other kinds of green infrastructure. So I think that's why they're assuming that the only thing would be that a side path, for instance, the widened side path, which is part of this plan, would be pervious pavement, but that there's not much else that they can do in terms of green infrastructure. But again,
Curious, but then
sorry?
I'm just curious in that they specifically say there will be an opportunity to discuss different ideas for green. I'll
No comment on that.
All right, thanks.
Any other council questions or comments? Okay, if not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's everyone. Eve, you were going to do the next resolution, I believe?
Yes. Sorry, let me get there.
Sure. It's page 164.
Okay. All right, got it. Resolution 21-132, resolution authorizing a professional services agreement in the not to exceed amount of $155,778 with French and Perello Associates, PA, for grant writing, design, and permitting services for the rehabilitation of a stone arch footbridge on the Red Trail and the replacement of a concrete and stone bridge on the Green Tail at the Mountain Lakes Preserve. And I just want to say a big shout out, thank you to Wendy Mager and the Friends of Princeton Open Space who really brought this to our attention in terms of a grant that is due at the end of the month. And thank you, Bob, for moving this forward so that we can, and the engineering department as well, so that we can take advantage. These repairs had to be done, and now we're going to be getting a pretty substantial amount of grant money to do that because everybody pulled together and worked as a team in a really speedy and efficient way. So I just wanted to say a big thank you, and I'd love to introduce this.
Okay, so Eve is making the motion. Is there a second? Dwayne seconded it. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Just one comment, Mr. Mayor. Within the text of this resolution, it does mention Princeton or that Princeton Hydro. That's just a typo. A lot of times we just word search them and swap things out. So that'll be corrected in the morning.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Bob. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, that passes. Next is 21-133, resolution authorizing a professional services agreement with Dakotas, Fitzpatrick, Cole, and Giblin LLP in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for professional legal services, Special Redevelopment Council to Princeton Planning Board.
I'll move it.
Mia?
Mark, I'm wondering if we could take this one and the next one together, since one is a resolution for the planning board to hire Dakotas, and the second one is the resolution for the council to hire Dakotas. Is that?
I
It's,
think we should do them separately.
yeah, it's
Okay,
two
perfect.
different.
Yeah.
All right,
Sorry.
no
Okay.
worries.
I'm sorry, Mia, were you going to say?
No, I just moved in. I think Dwayne was seconding it.
Okay. All right. Dwayne, that's a second. Just want to make sure. Cool.
Yep, I'm seconding.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments on this resolution?
Second.
Okay. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. 21-134, resolution authorizing a professional services agreement with Dakotas, Fitzpatrick, Cole, and Giblin LLP in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for professional legal services, Special Redevelopment Council to Princeton. Is there a motion? Mia?
I'll move it.
Thank you very much. David's got the second. Any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's everyone. 21-135, resolution authorizing two site license agreements with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC for the installation and attachment of 5G wireless installations on, under, and above public right-of-way at 20-22 Witherspoon Street and at 86 Nassau Street, New Jersey State Highway 27, at Witherspoon Street, subject to approval by the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation. Is there a motion? Someone want to move that? David, thank you very much. Eve, all right with the second? Any council questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, it's everyone. 21-136, resolution authorizing a rights-of-way agreement with Cellco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless that establishes an administrative procedure for review of applications by Verizon to place new 5G wireless equipment within municipal rights-of-way and to require site license agreements for each installation. Is there a motion? Someone want to move that? David, thank you. Eve seconded.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm wondering if, I know Trishka's not here, so Bob, are you able to explain this?
I see Trishka on the call. I can give it a shot, but hopefully she's
Or
actually
Trishka.
still here.
Anybody?
What's your question?
The question is to explain what it's authorizing them to do. And I
Right,
mean,
so-
just what it is exactly.
At the meeting where we had at the council meeting a couple meetings ago, we had a presentation that talked about the Verizon installations and the fact that there were numerous ones coming up, and that the council had agreed to parameters for design, what they could and couldn't do. And then instead of making them come back to council for each and every installation, that we agreed, as long as they stayed within the parameters, that they approvals could be handled administratively. That's the crux of this resolution.
That's my recollection. Well,
I think that was a good summary. I'm not sure I have a lot to add to that. I think what is important to underscore is that as part of this resolution, there is a template agreement. So it's not like the administrative approval process is unfettered. It has to follow what's in the resolution and the template agreement. But there's going to be too many individual installations for it to be practical to bring each one to the council.
Other questions or comments? I'm sorry, Mia, you go ahead, Mia.
I'm just going to abstain because I still am really uncomfortable with the pace at which it's happening. And I've gotten a fair amount of email from residents who don't feel that it's as automatic and turnkey as we somehow were made to believe during that presentation. So I'm just going to abstain.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand so I can see it. I want to do a count. Okay, 1, 2, 4, 5. Any opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. 501. Mia is the abstention. Okay. 21-137, resolution to purchase 10 audio channel licenses for Princeton Police Department to record all 911 incoming calls from Wilmac in the total amount of $14,040. Leticia? Leticia moves it. Thank you very much. Michelle was seconding that. Sorry, Dwayne. Michelle beat you at that time.
No problem.
Any questions or comments from council? Okay, if not, all in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay, that's everyone. 21-138, resolution to purchase 9 Barracuda backup server cloud unlimited storage licenses from Software House International, SHI, needed to maintain our network backup processes in the total amount of $17,118. Would someone like to move that? David?
I'll move it.
Michelle's got the
I have a
second.
question.
Sure.
Should
Go
I
ahead, Mia.
wait? Yeah, I'm just wondering, council has requested, a total overhaul of what our ID department is doing and everything, procedures, processes. And so we haven't gotten an update in the IT committee on this. I don't know how this was selected or why. And it seems, I'm slightly uncomfortable with the fact that this is coming to council and we're voting on it. And I don't know that any of us really know why, what it is, why it was selected, how it fits into a broader vision for how our IT department is going to become more functional.
Right, so this is a critical need to back up information that right now our backup process is not functioning correctly. So this is something that absolutely positively needs to be done. So it's not so much how IT department itself functions, which I totally understand your concerns, as opposed to this is a use of a technology to really keep us in a position that I think legally we need to be in, which is backing up all kinds of information that is not properly being backed up right now.
And did the administrator and did you and the mayor, were you both informed? I'm going to take your word for it. If one or both of you were informed about why this choice was made, that would be reassuring.
Mia, in all honesty, I called our consultant today to try to get a handle on this. We traded calls. I was not able to hook up with him. I believe what what the mayor is saying is correct. I mean, typically these are just replacement, backup systems for us. We are required to have a backup. We have both remote backups and our backups in the building as well. If you're uncomfortable with it, we can, defer it for a meeting and I can try to get more information for you. Or if you're so inclined, or the rest of your colleagues are so inclined to pass it, we won't issue the PO until I get the information back to you that way.
Yeah,
So that we don't hold it up for 2 weeks.
I would strongly urge that we pass it tonight and that whatever information council members need, we get to them tomorrow.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
essentially,
fine with
Bob is saying our consultant said this would be the best systems for this immediate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't, I mean, our consultant has not guided us in ways that we're comfortable with on a number of different issues. So I'm, that doesn't reassure me, but I'm gonna take I'm gonna take the mayor's word for it that it's important tonight, but I really, I just want to reiterate, as I have for the past year and a half, that major work needs to be done with our IT services. And, we have approved a number of things over the past year, none of which have remedied or alleviated the problem. And we continue to be without services on a regular basis, both phone and email and connectivity. And the situation can't go on like this. So for tonight, fine, but I hope that we'll get, a more comprehensive vision picture remedy for how things can be different soon.
Yes, me, I just want to say that I totally understand what you're saying, and this is a very high priority, for myself and for the administrator also. So unfortunately, we have a lot of high priorities for Bob, but we are trying to move this whole IT, what we do in IT across.
Well, I made a note of it. We'll get the committee back together again so I can get some firsthand information. I mean, I know I've spoken with a couple of you on an individual basis, but we can get the committee together. So I'll send something out tomorrow and we can see who is participating in that. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what the membership is, but we'll reconvene it and get it moving in a positive direction.
Great. Thanks, Bob.
Appreciate it.
I mean, if I could make one more comment, I mean, it brings to light a broader question. I mean, if we can't trust the word of our consultants, I mean, that's kind of interesting in of itself. It's almost like, I mean, you expect people to be the experts on this type of thing. So if we feel like we're not getting the proper services, it's almost like we need a consultant on the consultant then. I would hope that they would be the people that would give us the best information about the best way forward. So
One would hope.
Right. So I think without getting into it, there's a whole bunch of
Right.
reasons as to why we have
Right.
shortcomings and lapses and what we need in the technology world. So too deep a well to jump into tonight, but it's on the radar of many a person, and we are trying to move ahead and make progress.
We'll move forward in faith.
Yeah. So anyway, without going any further, if
Says
we
the
could,
deacon.
if we could vote on this, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, just to be sure, there were no one opposed and there were no abstentions. Okay, that was everyone. Just want to be sure. Thank you. 21-139, resolution granting to PCH Development Corporation, PCHDC, a waiver of municipal building permits to help facilitate financially the construction of 25 new affordable units within Princeton Community Housing's existing Princeton Community Village. Well, the hands were flying up on that one. All right, Dwayne was
I
first.
think I won that one.
Yeah.
Okay, Leticia was second. So moved by Dwayne, seconded by Leticia. Any questions or comments on this one? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, that's everyone. All right, next up is the consent agenda, and on the consent agenda is Resolution 140, authorizing payment of bills and claims, Resolution 21-141, appointment to the Animal Control Board, 21-142, resolution authorizing the refund of a tax overpayment, and 21-143, resolution approving the placement of pole banners on Nassau Street. If no one has a reason to pull any of those, a motion to approve those. David? David moves them all. Eve seconds. Any questions on any of these? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. That brings us to adjournment.
Speedy.
To adjourn.
Thank you, David. Is there a second? Eve, seconds?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, the meeting is ended. Thank you all for attending. Thank you
Thanks,
for
everyone.
people from the public that came tonight.
Good night,
Everyone have a good
everyone.
night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night.